Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. I got some topics for you guys, so without further ado, let's get into it. So, this first topic is going to be talking about the end of the 24/7 Championship. That's right, one of probably my favorite championships that they've had in WWE recently, that is, in like modern WWE, starting in 2019. The 24/7 Championship. Now, this was, of course, more of like a comedy title, more so of like the lower mid carders slash like jobbers. Pretty much so they have like something to do on TV. But it came to an end on Raw with Nikki Cross being the last 24/7 champion and essentially throwing the title in the trash. And then it was confirmed on WWE.com that the 24/7 championship is effectively over. It's retired and everything. A bit unceremoniously dumped, but then again, like I said, not a super prestigious title, but it was fun for the most part. Now, the 24/7 rule and a rule of that the 24/7 championship had, where it's like it's defended 24/7 anytime, anywhere, as long as a referee was present. Anyone could become 24/7 champion. That's something that they've done before. They remember the Hardcore Championship back in the days like the Attitude Era. So pretty much same concept and stuff like that with the 24/7 championship, and it was a lot of fun. And this time around, it was R-Truth filling in the role of Crash Holly. Because Crash Holly was the man who usually held the 24/7 championship, and he got into a lot of antics to the point where he couldn't sleep, he couldn't like do anything because he had to defend the title so often. R-Truth this time around would always go for the 24/7 championship. He would either hold it or try to get it back, going through a lot of hijinks and stuff. And R-Truth showing his comedic genius in that regard with the 24/7 championship. Unfortunately, R-Truth is on the shelf. He's going to be out for a little while. I believe he tore his Achilles tendon, if I'm not mistaken, which is probably the reason why the championship may have gotten scrapped. I know Triple H was talking about getting rid of it for a while, and maybe he finally did it. And there's a chance that perhaps R-Truth getting injured probably was like, probably just sped things up. But yeah, so 24/7 championship for the most part was kind of fun. I feel like it kind of fizzled out after a while. Well, more so during like the pandemic era, because it eventually was like, it eventually was kind of just there. But for the most part, it was kind of fun. And I remember when it was first introduced back in 2019 and how it looked kind of ugly. A lot of people, it's a design that kind of grows on you after a while, but it did look kind of ugly. But just a lot of like the chaos and like the somewhat fun segments they had with the 24/7 championship were pretty cool, and for the most part kept things interesting. And I feel like R-Truth as 24/7 champion kept things interesting. And I feel like the championship really started to drag once whenever R-Truth wasn't champion. But we've seen all kinds of crazy title changes. It's out in the streets. We saw one at a wedding when R-Truth and Drake Maverick were having a little mini feud over it. So yeah, the 24/7 championship for the most part was pretty fun, and I knew the time was coming eventually. But 24/7 championship, I'm gonna miss you, buddy. But the next thing I want to talk about is something interesting, and that is the hardest bosses I've ever faced in video games. So, if you haven't been able to tell, or if you don't really know me all that well, if this is your first time watching System Shock Radio, welcome. But I'm a man who loves video games. I adore video games. I've loved video games since I was a child, and video games oftentimes have bosses, very hard bosses, and I'm gonna talk about a few of them. Some of the hardest bosses that I've fought, starting with pretty much most, if not all, the bosses in the Mega Man games. The Mega Man games are notorious for being like very difficult, and especially with their bosses, which most consist of them like jumping around the screen at pretty high speed, shooting out all kinds of attacks, a whole barrage of attacks, and you gotta pretty much stop them. And Um, it's one of the reasons why I still haven't been able to beat Mega Man 3 because the Doc Robot bosses. Oh boy. uh, but also there's Kingdom Hearts bosses. I feel like Kingdom Hearts bosses sometimes they range from like incredibly easy to like stupid difficult, and I feel like the hardest bosses that I fought um, were like Kingdom Hearts 2 and after. In Kingdom Hearts 2, I think like the hardest bosses that I fought, the two that come to mind for me, and I'm talking about like main story bosses, not like optional bosses that you could fight, such as like the data battles or like Lingering Will. Well, even though I fought Lingering Will once, and well, actually, no, I fought him more than once, but I still lost. I haven't beaten Lingering Will. But the two ones I fought that you gotta complete in order to complete the story were Zaldin at a Beast Castle. He was a nightmare, at least until I figured out that you're supposed to use the triangle commands. And the other one was the Roxas battle in The World That Never Was. Both those battles were really difficult, but moving on to Birth by Sleep, uh, those bosses were pretty tough. Not really Braig. Braig was like pretty easy, but more so the two battles against Vanitas and the second battle against Terranort. Those boss. I remember I spent like months trying to beat those bosses, but those bosses will pound the crap out of you. It's to the point where once you fight Braig, he as the final boss for Aqua's story in Birth by Sleep, he is pretty much like a victory lap compared to like Terranort and like Vanitas, and mostly because Braig's attacks don't really do as much. He attacks you quite a bit, and you can still die to him, but he's not like he's pretty easy to like dodge and attack compared to the other bosses, but also because Terranort and Vanitas are like relentless. They're just like the entire fight. Braig, he does that a little bit, especially when he gets the eye patch and essentially kind of becomes Zigbar, but 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 compared to the other bosses, he's actually like pretty tame. So, Aqua's was like kind of a breather after those two. That, and it helps that I had some experience fighting Braig before because you fight him in Terra's story in Birth by Sleep. But and then pretty much everything in Cuphead. There's a reason I still haven't beaten Cuphead several years after. I bought my Nintendo Switch in 2019. I bought Cuphead in 2019. I still haven't beaten Cuphead. 3 years later, I still have not beaten Cuphead, and the bosses in Cuphead are partially why. And yeah, so some pretty hard bosses, but I know I will beat them eventually. I've beaten the ones from like Kingdom Hearts and stuff. But yeah. Also, got to bring up the anti-black coat nightmare from Dream Drop Distance. Yeah, that was the reason I didn't beat Dream Drop Distance originally on my 3DS. But nevertheless, that's enough of the boss woes. Next thing I want to talk about is the Wii. Back to more video games. The Wii, I feel like, was such an interesting console, and it was a console I had a lot of fun with growing up. And the thing that really stood out about the Wii, and was kind of also its downfall in some regards, or even though the Wii's still really awesome, was the motion controls. With the Wii pointer, your movement essentially became the controls. That was great, and a lot of games pulled it off well, but there was a lot of games that didn't, and there was games that put motion controls in unnecessarily to the point where it shouldn't have been in there, and it ruined it because it was in there. But other than that, the Wii was a lot of fun, and I remember I played it a lot of late nights. And I had all kinds of games for it. I had wrestling, I had some like Bakugan, I had Mario, and those games. I had like I love like Wii Sports, not so much Wii Play, but Wii Sports. All kinds of fond memories with the Wii, and I had like Sonic Riders and some of the Sonic games. Not all of them great, but I had those games. And so just a lot of really fond memories with the Wii. Some for good, some for bad. And recently, not too long ago, they kind of shut down support for like the Wii Store and everything. But yeah, so Wii still a really really big part of my childhood. I remember getting it for Christmas in 2009. And just being so enamored with it. I love that console so much, and yeah, a lot of great memories. Next thing I want to talk about is speaking of video games, but back in the wrestling part of the episode of System Shock Radio, is that the AEW video game may possibly be delayed, and honestly, I kind of saw this coming for a couple reasons. The first one is that after like showing off some of the gameplay and stuff and telling us a bit more about the roster, it's been mostly silent in terms of like the video game. There has been some updates, such as the day one he'll be on the Xbox Game Pass, but the other thing I think that is delaying it is what happened at All Out. So if you remember, and I kind of covered it, not just in me talking about going to AEW in Buffalo, which if you haven't already, go check that out, but also in episode 80 of System Shock Radio, where I talked about the state of AEW, go check that out as well. I talked about the situation that happened at All Out, where, to pretty much put it briefly, CM Punk and the Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, got into a fight after CM Punk made some comments about the AEW locker room at the All Out social media scrum, saying that he's old and tired and he works with children, and the Elite did not take kindly to that, and things have gone back and forth. Some people say the Elite started it, some people say CM Punk started it. Unfortunately, Larry the Dog almost got hurt. Some people say the doors kicked in, some people say the door wasn't kicked in. Ace Steel was involved. He got released from AEW. He apparently bit Kenny Omega, so they let him go. It's now a legal matter, and at the time of recording, CM Punk is back to doing commentary for MMA. The Elite may be on their way back to AEW, although they're kind of doing like the they're kind of showing vignettes showing like AEW possibly getting rid of them, with like the Elite being erased from existence. So there's that, but but you may be asking, Nigel, why does this affect the video game? For a couple reasons. Affecting the video game, the AEW video game. For starters, Kenny Omega was involved in a lot of development for the video game. Kenny Omega wanted to be part of that team, and of course, Kenny Omega, very, very big fan of video games, so him being involved in the production of the video game does make a lot of sense, although apparently he was clashing a lot of ideas with THQ Nordic, who are going to be developing the game. THQ Nordic and Yuke's software, or you may remember Yuke's because they developed a lot of WWE games back in the day, but Omega was heavily involved in that, but because of the fight, he's been suspended, so I imagine he hasn't been doing that either. He hasn't been with the development. They probably like took him off to service suspension. But then also CM Punk may be on his way out of AEW, and he was the cover star. He was one of the cover stars for the AEW Fight Forever video game. So they not just got to get rid of their cover star, but they may have to wipe him from the game files. And there's a possibility that they may wipe some other superstars from the game files as well. Such as like Bobby Fish, who was released, or like Cody Rhodes is being kept in with WWE's blessing. Cody Rhodes is gonna be kept in, even though he's now in WWE. But so they may have to update the roster, which actually, now that I think about it, I don't think Bobby Fish was gonna be a part of the core roster. If anything, if Bobby Fish did get into the game, it was probably gonna be through DLC. But yeah, so there's that. So that's really complicating things, and I imagine the game is stalled because of that. And the reason I say it may be stalled is because it was supposed to release this year, but it's already November, and still no word on a release date for the AEW video game. So it may be delayed until next year if it's coming out, which hopefully it's still coming out. They've already done a lot of work for it, but So there's a possibility that it's not going to be coming out this year, unless like later on today or like tomorrow or something, they hit us with the, oh, it's coming out next month, December, or on a Christmas or something like that. At which games being rushed for holiday release, nothing new and nothing good. But yeah, so there's a chance that the AEW video game is going to be delayed, which kind of sucks. I was kind of looking forward to it. It more so for the arcadey nature and being able to play as my favorite AEW superstars, but may be delayed for now. Hopefully, it's not like outright canceled. If it's outright canceled, that would really suck. But for now, it looks like it's going to be delayed. But the last thing I want to talk about here before I let you guys go is remembering moments. More specifically, the moments that we share with other people. And I feel like moments is something that's taken for granted. Just time that you spend with people, just doing stuff. And stuff we kind of take for granted until the people that are in the moments with us are no longer with us. Then we remember the moments. But I will say to you, while the person's here, give them their flowers while they're here, or cherish every moment with them, both good and bad, and make sure that you guys are showing love to each other, and make sure you keep moments like that in your heart. Not every moment with that person may be good. There may be some turmoil that comes with that person, but don't take that person for granted. Don't take those moments for granted, and be happy with the time that you guys spend with one another. And I know it's kind of like stuff you've probably heard before. It's kind of sounds a bit generic and plain, but it's the truth. There's plenty of people I've spent time with in my life that are no longer with me, whether they've like passed away or just we don't really talk anymore. We kind of grew apart and stuff, but I hold on to some of those moments, and they make me happy that I was able to spend that time with them. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see it as soon as it drops. And I will see you guys later. Peace.